Hey everybody, Will here from O'Reilly Auto Parts to show you how to change the rear brake shoes and hardware on a 2013 Toyota Tacoma. Procedures will be similar for most Tacoma models from 2005 to 2015, but be sure to know the specifics for your vehicle before getting started. Once you've got your supplies together, here's what you'll do. First, you'll need to remove the rear wheels. Use a 19mm lug wrench or a socket and breaker bar to loosen the lug nuts on the rear wheels. Chock the front wheels. Then lift and support the rear of the truck. Now you can finish removing the lug nuts and the wheels. To remove the brake drum, it may be necessary to retract the brake shoes. To do this, you'll need to rotate the star wheel of the brake adjuster. The brake adjuster wheel is accessible behind a rubber plug on the rear of the brake backing plate. Use a small flat blade screwdriver to raise the automatic adjusting lever away from the brake adjuster, then another screwdriver to push the wheel counterclockwise until you're able to loosen and remove the brake drum, as well as the brake drum gasket. Now you should have access to the brake shoes and hardware. It may be a good idea to take a picture of how the shoes, springs, and other hardware is arranged before disassembling. Using a screwdriver or a brake spring tool, remove the brake shoe return spring from the front brake shoe. Now you can use needle nose pliers to fully remove the spring. Using your needle nose pliers, you can now remove the brake shoe hold down spring cup, as well as the shoe hold down spring and retainer pin. You can now remove the parking brake shoe strut, the tension spring, and the front brake shoe. Once the front brake shoe is removed, you can remove the automatic brake adjust lever spring and adjustment lever from the brake shoe. Now on the rear brake shoe, use your brake spring tool to remove the brake shoe hold down spring cup, hold down spring, and retainer pin. Use needle nose pliers to disconnect the parking brake cable and remove the rear brake shoe. Once the rear shoe is off the vehicle, use a screwdriver to remove the two C-clips to release the parking brake shoe lever, reaction lever, and parking brake shoe strut. These will be transferred to your new rear brake shoe before reassembly. Before continuing, it is a good idea to have the brake drum resurfaced. Resurfacing the brake drum provides a smooth surface for the new shoes to contact, providing more effective braking and longer shoe life. Most O'Reilly Auto Parts have the equipment to resurface brake drums, but will also measure the thickness of the contact surface to ensure that your drums can be safely resurfaced and reused. If they're too worn, our parts professionals can also help you find the right replacement brake drums for your Tacoma. Clean the entire work area with brake cleaner and wipe it down with a shop towel or rag to remove any brake dust. Now is also a good opportunity to inspect the wheel cylinder for any signs of brake fluid leaks or damage to its rubber seals. If you see any signs of leaks or significant corrosion, it may be a good idea to replace the wheel cylinder as well. When you're ready to install your new brake shoes, start by preparing the shoes for installation. Apply high-temperature grease to the surfaces the shoe will contact on the backing plate. You'll also want to unscrew and grease the brake adjusting bolt. If the adjuster does not thread in and out easily after being greased, it may need to be replaced. Now on your rear brake shoe, install the parking brake shoe lever, parking brake shoe strut, and the new return spring. You'll then secure the strut, reaction lever, and parking brake shoe lever using needle nose pliers and the new C-clips from your hardware kit. Use your needle nose pliers to connect the parking brake cable to the parking brake shoe lever. Install the rear brake shoe, ensuring it is properly aligned and seated. Then use your brake spring tool or needle nose pliers to install the new pin, shoe hold down spring, and shoe hold down cup. On the new front brake shoe, install the automatic adjusting lever and spring, and the parking brake shoe strut. Then, move the front brake shoe into alignment and use your brake spring tool or needle nose pliers to install the new retaining pin, shoe hold down spring, and shoe hold down spring cup. Now you should be ready to install the tension spring that connects the front and rear brake shoes at the bottom with your needle nose pliers. Then, use your pliers to install the lower return spring. The upper return spring will require you to use your brake spring tool or a screwdriver and needle nose pliers to connect it to the front brake shoe. We're replacing the brake drums on this Tacoma, but if you're not replacing your brake drums, make sure and have them resurfaced at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts before reassembly. You'll also need to remove the thin gasket from the back of the brake drum, clean any corrosion or leftover gasket material from the drum and the axle, and apply silicone grease to prevent future corrosion between the drum and the axle. Install your brake drum over the brake shoes. Temporarily install the lug nuts to hold the drum in place during your brake shoe adjustment. Through the hole in the rear of the brake backing plate, use a flat blade screwdriver to turn the adjuster star wheel to expand the shoes outward until the drum is locked and can't be turned by hand. Now you can reverse the adjuster wheel 15 notches, and this should be an appropriate base setting for your new brake shoes. Install the new hole plug, the wheels, and the lug nuts. Tighten your lug nuts, then lower the rear of the vehicle. Remove the wheel chocks and torque the rear lug nuts in a star pattern to 83 foot-pounds. Since the rear brakes are also your parking brake, you'll want to check to ensure your parking brake is still working as expected. Slowly depress the parking brake pedal while counting the number of clicks before it is fully applied. This should only take 7 to 10 clicks, but if it's more than that, the parking brake cable travel may need to be adjusted. Finally, make sure you pump your brakes a couple of times to ensure the wheel cylinders are making contact with the new shoes. And that's it. You'll find everything you need for this and other jobs at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com. If you're not completely comfortable doing this yourself, we'd be happy to recommend a professional technician in your area. And be sure to subscribe so you'll see all our new video content. We'll see you again soon.